Hey guys, so I've been playing Pac-Man World 2 Repack for the past couple of days now, and I am really enjoying it. It's absolutely incredible, and honestly the perfect way they could have handled a Pac-Man World 2 remake. However, there is just one problem with the game on the Switch 2, because like most other third-party games on the Switch 2, it is a game keycard, meaning that it is not a true physical release. And you might be thinking, you could just buy the Switch 1 version of the game since that does have a true physical version fully on the cartridge, and you might think you could just upgrade to the Switch 2 version, but there is no upgrade path. It is just absolutely ridiculous, and there is no excuse for this, because if you want the Switch 2 upgrades to the game, you're gonna have to either buy the game keycard or buy it digitally. There's no true physical option there. This isn't just an isolated instance though, since this is happening with quite a few other games, like Sonic and Shadow Generations that we saw back at launch, the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 remakes, the Suikoden remasters, as well as Octopath Traveler 0, and there's probably some others as well. This is just a really unfortunate situation, and I feel like this creates a lot of problems for people. Not only is it inconvenient for people who want to get a physical copy of the game, but it also just kind of sucks if someone bought the Switch 1 version of the game and wants a version that runs better on the Switch 2. Like, they're basically completely out of options there. Kind of like how I am for Sonic and Shadow Generations. I bought that game last year on the Switch 1. I did fully play through it and really enjoyed it, but it would be really nice to get the Switch 2 upgrade of the game. But if I wanted that, I'd have to buy the game again for the Switch 2. It's just absolutely unacceptable, and there's really no excuse for it. And yes, I know that Switch 2 versions of games can be pretty massive overhauls from the Switch 1 versions, kind of being closer to the Xbox Series S and X / PS5 versions rather than the more compromised and limited Switch 1 versions, but at the end of the day, it's really just the same game, but looks and runs better. So I don't really think there's any game that has both a Switch 1 and Switch 2 version that shouldn't have an upgrade path. Going back to my example of Pac-Man World 2 Repack, that game was published by Bandai Namco, and they have been releasing a few other games on the Switch 2, including Shadow Labyrinth and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. But do you know what those games have that Pac-Man World 2 Repack doesn't? Upgrade paths! So, it is just really weird that Pac-Man World 2 Repack in particular doesn't. There really isn't anything between the Switch 1 and Switch 2 versions of Repack 2 that kind of makes it to where it shouldn't have an upgrade path, because both games are very similar. So I don't know how they're deciding what games get an upgrade path and what games don't. It's just really weird and just very confusing for the buyer and just very anti-consumer. Because we don't really know, like, whenever, like, a company like Bandai Namco or Sega reveals a game, we don't know if it's gonna have an upgrade path or not. That's not really guaranteed. So it's just kind of creating a dilemma for a lot of buyers for the Switch 2. There's the option of getting the true physical version of the game, but it will probably run worse, won't look as good, and will probably have a frame cap, meaning it probably won't run much better on the Switch 2. And then there's also having the version that runs better, but you'd have to get it digitally or a game keycard, which definitely isn't ideal for people who want to collect games physically. So it's just really confusing there. And then there's also the people who have a Switch 1 but are interested in buying a Switch 2, and are also interested in playing a third-party game that doesn't have an upgrade path, so they'll either have to deal with the worst version of the game, or wait to play the game until they get a Switch 2. It's just a really weird situation. Like, ideally, if someone has a Switch 1 and buys that game, when they get a Switch 2, they should be able to upgrade it. It's just so simple, And it's just really weird that these companies are not allowing certain games to have that option. And with Pac-Man World 2 Repack, I have seen some people go ahead and buy the Switch 1 version of the game, even though it runs at 30 FPS, and I respect that decision. But I also respect the people who want a version of the game that runs better or runs at 60 FPS. So I feel like those people should have the option to get a physical version on Switch 2 or buy the Switch 1 version and be able to upgrade it if it's still a game key card on Switch 2. So it's just really unfortunate that some companies are not giving very many options in terms of like some of these third-party releases. But anyways, let me know what you think about this down in the comments. And anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. And make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!